Yeah, Ryan, I saw you responded to a certain friend of ours on Facebook.
Was it my mom? Ryan gets into it with my mom sometimes.
No. You actually gave me a like on this one. Yeah, this is somebody whose friend went after me after I made a comment.
Oh, okay. I think, yeah, I know who it is.
Wow.
So what was the feedback you got on that end of it? Shut my pie hole.
Has to do with racism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It was just kind of like, it struck me as being kind of rigid, her stance.
Very well. No, and the thing is, she posted up the initial thing, and the one thing I didn't notice is that was from like 6 years ago. So this is like old crap that's being dredged up. Number two, that's something that he mentioned he did 30 plus years ago. And even in the quotage, he was ashamed of doing. Having a different viewpoint based on reviewing the same information. And to be honest, I don't know any of the parties involved. I don't know, like, that was involved in the actual incident that was talked about in the press. I'm not there. I don't know. All I can depend upon is what is reported and what's indicated. And that was all I was trying to say is, based on what's in here, you have somebody who had bad behavior and apparently is admitting to it and is not proud of what was done.
Yeah.
You can castigate that person, or you can try and bring them forward. You're not saying that their behavior was good. All you're trying to say is that they are allowed redemption. And what's going to end up happening is, if you deny everyone redemption, you find yourself alone. No one is perfect, period. And that was part of the reason I threw in the quote about Bartolomeo de las Casas. He was the Spanish priest who went to, I want to say it was the Dominican Republic before it was the Dominican Republic, was enslaving Indians and just being a complete and utter a-hole, and then realized he was being a complete and utter a-hole after 13 or 14 years. Like, it wasn't like he just did it for like a night or 4 nights. Like, this dude made it his life for over a decade, and then goes, you know what? This is wrong. And then turned about face to go the other direction. So,
I mean, yeah. I mean, I read through the entire exchange. My personal opinion, man, is like, hats off to you for being able to sit in there that long and like defend your position. Because that kind of is the reason why you don't see me post that much on Facebook. That's why you see me go out and take a picture of a tree, and that is it.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
dude, man, that tree is so controversial, man. He was out there beating people when you weren't looking.
Nobody's listening, and it's like, it's all about who gets the last word in. I just feel like,
some people, they're just waiting their turn to speak.
A long time ago, because I was once one of those people, and I would go off on a tirade, and then I just realized, I'm like, dude, there's nothing productive to me in this. So that's why I was like, how am I going to positively affect change? And I'm like, okay, let me try something else. So
well, and that's where I bowed personally. My intent of bowing out of it was, I'm not going to encourage her in a different direction. And she may win over some people that will, her actions and the way she reacts to people, she may win some people over on that end of it. My end of it, I will work on a different group of people and hopefully win some people over it. The end result is we want racism to end. We want abuse to end. And at the end of the day, I don't care how it works. If I'm right, cool. If she's right, cool. If we're both right, cool. I don't care. The end result is really all I care about. Let us try and live in that universe where, we're all sitting around having a Coca-Cola, and oh man, we're gonna have to censor that.
Let us all come together like brothers and sisters.
But let's try for that world where we're sitting around having a Coca-Cola and enjoying the world instead of being a bunch of assholes.
That's why God's gonna put a cancer inside a butthole.
Hey, today's quote was from MLK's American Dream speech. So I when I was coming back from going hiking this morning, it popped up on my shuffle, and I stopped and listened to it. Dude, it is impressive. It is an impressive speech. There is, and this is like a personal growth thing of the realization that, like, be it somebody who's far right, far left, whatever, to black, white, Hispanic, we're only walking in our own shoes. And it's always said, try and walk in somebody else's shoes. You know what? If nobody's talking about it and nobody's sharing their experiences, there's no way in hell we can walk in somebody else's shoes. And there's only so much reading we can do to experience that. And at some point in time, you need to read it to make sure you ask the right questions and communicate in the right way to evoke the response you want. And if we truly want to understand how other people are moving through the world, we have to be able to ask the right questions, and we have to understand at least conceptually where they're coming from. It's frustrating that we're in a position in this world right now where we can't have honest discussions, we can't ask questions, and we can't provide alternative viewpoints without getting punched upside the head or abused. And I mean, not to say that the other was planning on processing abuse, but her destination was clear. She wanted me to be the villain so that she had somebody that she could rail on. And I get it, but it doesn't do us any good at the end of the day. It doesn't make any friends. If anything, it alienates everybody. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to go out and go, hey, you know what, Nazi? Come over for a picnic at my house. No. Yeah. But no, in some ways, I'm kind of glad you brought that up, because it's not what all I wanted it to be was just kind of a one shot of, here's just a thought. Like, this isn't, I'm not defending this guy. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
All I want you to do is just think that, yes, you're looking at this through the lens of rage. Here's an alternative. And maybe it's not as bad as you think it is. The original action was, but maybe the current situation we're in right now is not as bad as it was. That, we get so embroiled with the world is going horrible. It's the worst thing ever. Let's take a step back. Certain things, we may not like how things are being fixed, but all right, they're being fixed. They may break again. We have to fix it again. That's life. That's the universe, man. So
kind of pulling from that, one of the earlier topics that we discussed was, and this is all going to kind of tie in. Before that person went off on that topic, they were basically demonizing the passing of Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, talking about, if you've enjoyed anything of theirs, then you're a racist. And one of our early topics that we discussed was, can we put aside the actor versus their actions?
Mm-hmm.
Can we go back? Can we go back and watch the Cosby Show and get a laugh out of it, knowing what we knew?
Well,
That's kind of where this tied in with that racism
yeah.
that they had.
Well, and the thing that I wonder is like what. So this is a 6-year-old topic that was brought up now. Like why is this occurring now? He's put out other movies since then.
Yeah.
And if you take that one interview and then you don't do the additional research, then you have failed to indicate that there are Black artists who have come out and supported him. There are other people who have worked with him who have come out and supported him. Now, admittedly, there were people who came out and supported Masterson in his rape trial with. So I don't know how much you want to take that as a grain of salt on that, but the end result of this thing is clearly there was something different in that point in time, and I'm not there. I'm like, if you want to ban his movies, cool. Me personally, I think you have to separate the art from the artist. Once the art is created, it is something unique. It is something different. And you can't tell me Pablo Picasso, there wasn't some weird stuff with him, but you can still go look at his paintings, or Da Vinci, or any of these other people. I mean, the favorite one I love pulling up is how everybody thinks that the guy, Alice in Wonderland, how he was like a pedophile. Was he? He very well might have been. I mean, there's some weird concepts in that, but at the same token, he wrote the stories with a child audience. So us reading it as adults, yeah, it's going to seem creepy because we're reading it with a different lens. We're also reading it with 100 years viewpoint difference. So I don't know. It's one of those. I do think it is a good topic, because I think there's quite a bit out there of we let certain artists go despite their bad behavior in the past, and then other ones we completely castigate.
It's there's like a lot of like distractions and stuff. It's like hard to focus with all the negativity in the news. It's like I just look at it and I'm like, okay, where to start here? And I'm going to be here a while if you really want my opinion on these issues. So it gets exhausting is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Oh, no, if you're... And I think before I went on vacation, this is what I was doing. I was trying to look at everything, and it wore me down.
Wow.
And I think what I came back to mentally was to look at issues that I can address or that impact me, and that I can use that as a source of thinking about and communicating. Because I can't communicate on things that I don't fully understand. It may bother me, but I'm going to have to leave those to people who understand better on those topics. And so it's just trying to compartmentalize and let go to let somebody else have control of fighting those battles. So
Since you mentioned fighting those battles, I mean, I think part of my reticence of not engaging people in some of these conversations is I feel like it's a door-to-door guerrilla warfare that's never going to end. And I don't want to be that I want to be the Luke Skywalker that takes a shot down the exhaust port to, end the thing.
What do you guys think about conceptually the idea that we're out for blood?
That we
Culturally as Americans, we no longer want justice. We want blood.
I mean, it's the unending war. I mean, even in between World War II and, Vietnam, we were out for blood on race wars or race riots. And after Vietnam, we were after the Russians. It's like we always have a target. We always have to have an object that we're pointed towards.
So where that question arose, going back to Facebook, where we kind of started today's discussion on, had another discussion with this one with my cousin about prisons, and like what truly is the purpose of a prison? I know my definition, like my expectation of a prison, but what do you hope to get out of a prison? Putting people in a prison, what is your end goal on that?
You're sequestering them away from others. That's it.
Okay.
I know they want to talk about rehabilitation, but is that what people are looking at when they send people to prison? No, they're just getting them out of the picture.
What about you, D?
So here I got a theory on that. When you have someone that, say, has bipolar disorder, or they have some other kind of psychological condition, and you say they are in the prison system and they have to go into solitary confinement, that being in solitary confinement does really bad things to the human psyche. And this is why, like, NASA has these big, deep, intense psychological screenings with all their potential astronauts, because it's how long can you be able to rationally function in an environment without any contact from any people.
See, I would argue that goes into the cruel and unusual punishment component of our Constitution. What I'm actually asking is more, when you send somebody to prison, what are you expecting to occur? Rehab. The other option is permanent incarceration, removing them from the pool.
Is this tying into the mental illness now being criminalized?
No, this is actually dealing with Americans being out for blood.
Okay.
So the discussion out there was basically like, well, we need. It started with a commentary about, maybe if we had less guns in the street, there would be less shootings. Just an idea. If you have less, when it comes to drugs, if there's less drugs on the street, you hope that there's going to be less users, right? Less ability to get it makes it harder for people to get addicted to it. Boom. Why is the same process not applied? So that was where the thing began. But the response came back to it was, well, we just need more prisons. And for me personally, like, looking at prisons, there's twofold. You are making a determination of whether or not somebody there is a component of punishment and the person needing to atone for their actions. But when it comes to a society, those people, we are either going to lock them up forever and assume that they are not going to be able to be released, or you identify people that you can rehab and then release back into society. And the problem I have is, if we want to just take this from a financial thing, let's not even think about it from a humanitarian, because let's be honest, Americans are a bunch of freaking capitalists, and that's all we care about is the money. You're going to spend, it used to be $30,000 a year just to keep somebody in jail. Why not spend $30,000 during that year while they're in jail to teach them a trade or skill or an ability to rehab them so that they are prepared to enter a society that they are not used to? Because 9 times out of 10, they're used to a environment that is criminally minded. Bring them in and train them and prepare them for something else.
Yeah.
The ones you can't fix, Charles Manson, fine. We lock those away. We determine we can't lock them away. This thing bothered me was the fact that it was almost like, well, we're just going to punish. Well, okay, you've taught nothing. You now have somebody who you haven't enabled them to grow to be something different. You have determined they're a criminal there. And I find that very hard to digest, considering this is somebody who is a diehard Christian. And I mean, supposedly one of the women running around with Jesus was a prostitute. So is she forever a prostitute? Is she damned because of that? Does she not deserve redemption? Does she not deserve to elevate? And this kind of ties back to our original discussion. At what point do we determine that you are able to be rehabilitated and released? And what actions do we put into allowing that to occur? A lot of people with going to jail and then getting out of jail, you always hear of it that like they get out and they don't know what the hell is going on, so they do something else because they're used to being in jail. Yeah.
Ryan,
yeah?
If you were evil, you could easily be a televangelist. Because I noticed how you just wrapped and tied all that together. Because that's how they do in the church service. And this is going back to what Jesus said about how them evil American capitalists shouldn't be running the country. Can I get an amen?
Are you saying I need to go start hanging out in churches so that I can get the cadence right?
Yeah.
My God, we need to come down upon you with the hammer of justice. The blessed be praised as they rise before us in this church of humanity, where we yield all our love upon the man's soul, while the women
laying hands on people are going to be freaking out.
Dude, you know you start laying hands.
Dude, you just interrupted my preaching.
But
Drag
dude,
him outside and beat the shit out of him. We don't take that in this
laying
church.
hands, and we can like start editing those videos like Benny Hinn with lightsabers.
You could have had just like this huge biblical rant out of me, just put out there as all the holy. Actually, that's what we should do is for like little ad breaks. Down at the Church of Wisdom.
Did you guys see Mr. Pillow?
Yeah, I saw your thing on Mr. Pillow.
Yeah.
I have reservations on what to do about it. As not having much left of my dad to remember from, because of how his ending days were with me.
I do have some personal things of my dad. I have like his wristwatch, which I keep. That's like the main thing, because I always remember that watch. So I did keep that, but I didn't want his pillow, especially when the pillowcase and I saw what was on it, and I was like, then this is the one that he died on, and I've been sleeping on for years and did not know.
I at that point I would say do a bonfire, have a drink a scotch or something, and do a bonfire. And
well, in case you haven't figured out, that's pretty much what I've been doing today. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through a lot, dude. So
Is this like an anniversary of his passing or something? Am I missing a date or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he died in August. Maybe that's what it is. I didn't even stop to like look. I'm like serious. I'm thinking about it now. Yeah, because I went up in April. Yeah, because I remember like even like when he passed, I remember Pump picked me up from the airport, and I found out he had actually had passed while I was in the air. So yeah, and they put him and we put him in the ground. It was August. What the
One of the
fuck?
funny,
Crazy.
and probably I need to talk about this, so I apologize for holding you guys on for a little longer. One of the things that came out
Stuff.
when we showed up at my aunt's house, so my cousin's living with my aunt, and to help take care of my uncle, and we showed up and we started talking about my dad, because I mean there's a lot of tension within the family that's still kind of residual, even though he passed like 4 years ago. There's still a lot of tension that's arising around him. Like one of my cousins basically refuses to talk to me to this day. But one of the things that we were talking between my aunt and I and my cousin, even my wife, that we were talking about my dad, and it was primarily, I'm not going to say positive, but realistic. Like, this is what happened, this is what occurred, and this is how it is. And and we went away, checked into our hotel, and then came back for dinner. And when I came back, my cousin was out picking up the pizzas that we were having for dinner, and my aunt basically came out to me and she's like, your cousin thought I was being too nice about everything. And I was telling her, I'm like, and this is the part where I kind of need to get it off my chest. Like I told my wife this, but I think I probably need to say it again just to kind of get it out. We carry all these burdens with us, all these things, the angst, the irritation, the hatred, the madness, the guilt. And especially with somebody who has passed, they've passed. There is no resolution. The end is what the resolution was their passing. They have passed. I can never resolve any of these things directly with him because he is gone. And due to that, I have had to come to the realization that there is no resolution on that end of it besides what I carry within myself. And so the resolution I have come to is that I will laugh and enjoy those funny moments that I remember of my dad. I will remember those things that made him the person that I thought was a good person, and I think was up until his final years. I will focus on those things. I'm not going to forget the bad things that occurred. I'm not going to forget the things that he said and did that were over the line. But at the end of the day, carrying that rage, that anger, that thing, it doesn't hurt him. He's dead. It hurts me. It hurts me in my daily interactions. It hurts me in my daily interactions with my wife, with my daughter, with my dogs, with you guys, with anybody. And so, I look at that, and then I look at what's going on in America. And yes, it's going back into kind of a broader scope of it. I think too many people are holding on to this thing, expecting some sort of resolution of life. And the reality of it is there is no resolution of life. The only resolution we have is what we bring into ourselves and what we take out at the end of the day. And if you can't handle that and can't wrap your head around it, and that's kind of where I'm at. And it's so, it's kind of a weird conversation having with my aunt about it, and then having to try and explain that. Like, how do you explain to somebody that you've dealt with it? I mean, are there days where I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, I miss Dad for this, or I wish I could talk to Dad about this. Yeah, but it's all a wish. It's all ethereal.
That's why, like, I have a hard time sometimes getting through the movie Interstellar. There's some
I've never seen that one, so I don't understand the reference.
There's some pretty intense moments in that with, I guess when he goes through the black hole or whatever, and all the things that go on as a result of that. It's just, yeah, it's one of those, like, when somebody like passes, it's like I often think, like, what my dad would think, knowing what he knows, what has happened to me now. So it's kind of like one of those things you'll never know.
No. And at some point in time, we have to realize this is our world, not theirs.
Yep.
And we have to persist on and carry on in our direction.